Thanks for joining me live on this broadcast. We're going to talk about bloating after you eat. A lot of people get a significant amount of bloating after they eat, and especially if they eat, breads and pastas and wheat-based substances, sometimes beans, sometimes even raw vegetables, and they get bloating. And the bloating is not just a little bit of discomfort. The bloating is some significant bloating. Some people look like they're pregnant when they bloat so much, and this is not really just related to, oh, I just ate something bad and it caused me to bloat. This has to do with a whole slew of other different things, something called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO. And what this actually means is that people with bloating after they eat, especially if it's between about 10 minutes to 30 minutes to an hour, in that range, it's got an ample time for food to go into the stomach and cross over into the small bowel, and there's a lot of carbon dioxide producing bacteria that's in there, or there could be yeast in there that's producing gases as well. And so why is this such a bad thing? It's such a bad thing is because that's not how digestion is normally. How digestion is normally is that you're supposed to eat things, the stomach acid is going to break down the foods, and the foods break down to small particles, and they go into your small bowels and they get digested. However, over time, when people eat inflammatory foods like processed foods, processed carbohydrates, bleached foods, these cause a significant amount of distress, and it can cause a significant amount of distress in the stomach and in the small bowel as well. So what people end up doing is to take acid suppressors like Tums, which is absolutely horrible for you, and they take Nexium, the purple pill that you can get at Walmart or Sam's and everything like that, and they tend to pop it every day. So what happens is now there is less stomach acid for the food to be digested, so that people can have, and so that people can develop even further reactions further down in the gut, which is a small bowel. And so now you have larger food particles going into your small bowel that's undigested by the stomach acid that's being blocked by taking acid suppressors like Tums or Nexium, and then then you can have overgrowth of bacteria or the bad bacteria in the small bowel, and these are carbon dioxide and gaseous producing bacteria that causes a significant amount of bloating. And so I would say 1 out of 3 people come into my office here and complains about that bloating after they eat, and that's a really bad sign. So why is it a really bad sign? Because it contributes to other things. If you have a large amount of inflammation that's in your gut, that's in your small bowel or large bowel, doesn't matter where it is, a large amount of inflammation in your gut, it triggers an inflammatory cascade. So inflammatory markers are going to be triggered in the stomach, and that carries over into our body systemically. So people tend to have more body pains. People tend to have significant fatigue, especially that 3 p.m. crash that people tend to have. People tend to have a really impaired sleep, whether they have sleep latency, meaning that they have a hard time going to sleep, or they wake up all the time and they're kind of wired. People can have severe fatigue because their thyroid is less activated. So what does the thyroid have to do with this? Well, when you have a large amount of inflammation that's in the body, these inflammatory molecules called NF-kappa beta, IL-1, IL-6, TNF-alpha, they're just fancy words for saying inflammatory molecules, down-regulate the conversion of T4 into T3. T4 is a storage form of thyroid, and T3 is the active form. And thyroid is needed for your body to do its normal functions so people can become fatigued. This bloating and this inflammation that's in the gut is quite severe. It can cause you to have brain fog. And so, people talk about leaky gut all the time. People don't talk about leaky brain. When you have significant amount of inflammation that's in the gut, the inflammatory markers creates a more permeable membrane that's in the blood-brain barrier, and these inflammatory markers and protons go into the brain and cause the neurochemical changes that's in the brain. So your gut and your brain talks to each other every single second with different mediators that's in our bloodstream that are hormonal mediators and inflammatory mediators. So that's why you get the fatigue. So bloating is associated with fatigue, especially the afternoon bloating, and associated with down regulation of testosterone in men and women. So what does that have to do with it? Well, it turns out the more inflamed you are, especially in the gut, the more inflamed you are, the more the testosterone can get converted into estrogen. And so all estrogen in the body starts from testosterone. That's the biochemical process, and the enzyme is called aromatase. And so when you have a significant amount of inflammation, especially in the gut, it activates the aromatase enzymes. You have a conversion of testosterone to estrogen, so people can get estrogen spikes. So that a lot of people, when they get abdominal bloating, they think it makes them grouchy most of the time. Honestly, that might just be some little estrogen spikes here and there. That becomes more and more. That estrogen spike causes them to have these emotional shifts or mood swings. And guess what? It also causes them to have ADD and ADHD symptoms. We have significant attention deficit with brain fog, with fatigue, with the bloating after they eat. And so, you guys, this is all related. Food is medicine. We should really be using food as medicine, okay? I can't stress enough how much I talk about poop. I talk about bowel movements all the time whenever people are in my clinic. We talk about their symptoms, what they are, but really the most important thing, one of the most important questions is how are your bowel movements? A lot of people tend to have loose stools, or they tend to, or could be very constipated, and neither one is really a good thing. So we really have to look in the bowels and see what's happening in the bowels. And so, if you like what you're hearing, please comment below. Let me know your thoughts. I really want to know your thoughts. Let me know where you're watching from. And this is Dr. Ron. I'm at Texas Center for Lifestyle Medicine. If you want to make an appointment to be evaluated for all of these symptoms right here, if you have that brain fog, if you have that bloating after you eat, if you have that fatigue, if you have that low sex drive, if you have all those different things, let us evaluate you, because this is far more than what you think might be going on, and we really have to hit at the root cause of this, okay? And so there's a website link that's in the description. Click on that. You can actually make a new patient registration and appointment. Let me know what you guys think, all right? Thank you so much.